When I first started my channel, I showed you my art journal that I had made. I never really thought that I could draw, so it was a good way for me to learn how to draw. And it gives me a nice thing to do when I'm not making a quilt. And so today, I wanted to show you my next art journal that I've completed. It was a lot of fun to make. I filled it up with a lot of different kinds of techniques. So if you have an art journal and you'd like to have some ideas about how to fill them up, hopefully this will give you some inspiration for that. A sketchbook or an art journal, anything like this, is a great way for you to express your creativity without having to worry about making something for anybody to see, because nobody else has to actually see it. I show you everything that I make, even my mistakes, just so that you know that you can make mistakes and be fine with it. But it is something that, you don't have to show if you are not comfortable doing that. So let me show you the inside of my second completed art journal. Welcome back to Quilt and Color. My name is Shalina. Okay, so let's get started on this art journal. I think this is made by Canson. It's just a spiral mixed media book that has thick enough pages that has thick enough. Okay, so let's get started looking at this art journal. This one is just a spiral book. I think it's made by Canson. It's a mixed media journal so that pages are thick enough to be able to withstand paint. And I just like the spiral bound nature of it. And I just took some clippings from magazines and other places and just pasted them on to make a collage of sorts. This is a note card that I made a mistake on, so I just cut it and just added some extra words on it. Do more. This is an advertising. There's some junk mail things in here as well. I think this one's probably junk mail as well. This is the inside. And they're not available in any store. I think this was also on my other journal. The book is available, but not when it's completed. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started and look on the inside. So the way this works is each of the pages, I did not try to make sure that these pages went together. So probably I should cover up one part of it so that you can just see each section individually. Let me show you this one. This one's some craft paper that comes in packaging. This one's some tissue paper. This is a magazine article. And there's a sticker here, and then there's just another magazine clipping. I like this page. And then there's just drew with marker around the outside and here with some mark making. This one was the first one that I made. This one was made July 23rd, 23. And I had some acrylic paint that is drying up, and so you can see the texture on here. The paint is all dried up and crackly, so it was not easy to move, so this was not really a fun painting to make. But I'm really happy that this piece of ugliness found up on the first page, because then it kind of takes away the pressure of making something that's really pretty. If you have something ugly on the first page, then there's nothing but up to go for the rest of the pages. Let's go on to the next page. Because I have things in all different ways, it's just going to be a way to, it might just make it a little bit harder to maneuver each of the pages, but this one can go any direction, this way or this way. But it's just watercolor. I drew the shapes, just random shapes, and then watercolored them in. Pretty simple design, but I like it. This one was also a pretty simple design. This is more of the paint. These round circles are made with the lids of my bad acrylic markers. But I like the way this one looks too. This was a better paint, I think, than the ones on the first page. I'm not really sure about this one. I don't remember if this is just a random drawing or if it's an attempt to do a self-portrait, but maybe it's kind of a combination of both. So, This page I'm just using up some of the markers that I had used in other parts of the book and testing out to see how safe they were to use. And once I just made these little swatches, I decided to just add this little fish in the corner just to help finish off that page. I didn't even date this thing. This is just me having fun with watercolor. Pretty sure this is watercolor. I'm not even sure if this is a watercolor palette that I had or whether I was using a marker. It looks like it's the same brush, so it probably just is watercolor, the palette that I had. Start out with a circle with the designs on it, and then I just spread out from there, making like a mandala sorts. This is another swatching thing, and it was pretty ugly, so I decided to add some things here. Be yourself, be it radically. The goal is to be more of who you are. That was something that I had seen on another video, and I thought that was really nice. And then here's just another magazine clipping that I thought would fill in this extra space that's here at the bottom. Another paper that I didn't date. So this is just me having fun with X's and O's, just a random design. I like the shading of the colors. Sometimes it's just fun to do. Not very spectacular, and I left this part blank just to annoy people who feel like everything has to be filled out. This one was me using that splotchy paint. I like the way it looks. It turns out like there's like a creepy story that's a lot involved with these people who don't look like they're very happy and get caught. So this one wasn't meant to be a story, but it wound up being a story after I made it, so it's interesting. I kind of imagine them being like at a museum or something, having a private discussion that I walked in on. This is just some random flowers that I drew. Little house setting, that very proportionately even here. It's kind of like a sad looking house, but I like the way this looks too. There's some more watercolor. This was a class by Tamara Laporte. If you go to willowing.org, I'll put a link in the description box, but she organizes a lot of different classes together, and she gathers up a lot of different artists who will teach their classes. And once a year for that particular group, she will offer some free taster sessions so you can see what the classes look like, and then you can purchase them for a longer term if you want to. But I like to take her sample classes, and so this was one that she had made. This is one of her classes that she had shared with a butterfly. I didn't always follow along with her videos, and so if I did make a mistake or didn't quite follow her videos exactly, don't look at my work to use as a representation of what her work looks like. Hers is wonderful. And these are some more random people that I drew, which I've already shown this technique in another video where I just basically just draw random blobs and then from there just make people out of them. And this one is the same. I just drew a random blob and drew a person out of that. I think this one was pretty successful too. Getting better about also making bodies and backgrounds as well as just the face. This one was just another using a paint kind of thing. And this was a lot of fun to make too. Just using the lids to the paint that's bad. And then just being able to just make blobs of paint. You can see here the big blotch of yellow. It is because the paint itself is kind of splotchy and not something that I did myself. I've since given away the paints. giving the person the warning that this could be a problem. And since I already have a whole paint collection that isn't in bad condition, I can just use those instead. I don't need to worry about having to deal with the bad paint. This one is still using the bad paint here. You can see the splotchiness here on this one too. And trying to brush out the marks. I actually put water in the paints to be able to process it better. And this one's a watercolor one. This one's a watercolor one that goes with that. It's not that exciting. This is not the best pages that I have here. These are more from the classes. This one is from Sue Young, also in the same class, called Art Soul Gathering. She was making a flora goddess with a crown of flowers, and so this is following her advice and techniques. And this one, I think, was also a drawing from that same class. I probably didn't follow the directions correctly on either one of these. This one was a YouTube video where they just dabbed up little colors of paint and then turned that into a flower collection. And so then you just put a pot underneath it once you get that done. This one wound up being a little splotchy. I got too happy with the water on this one. So I tried again on this page. This one I think looks better. And it is amazing how you can just take some little blobs of paint and make it look like flowers. Without having to really know how to make flowers, just little blobs to represent the flowers is enough. I watched this YouTube video. It was a short, and I watched it over and over again while I was making the painting, so they got lots of watch hours on that one from me. This one is also part of the class. I think it's all from the Art Soul Gathering class. Mine was not anywhere near as successful as theirs. There was a tree. So I just added some creatures at the bottom just to give that picture a little bit more off. But even though you can't tell what the creatures are exactly, I think it makes a good picture. And this is a class with Melanie Rivers, also from the Art Soul Gathering class. She did have a flower collage on top of a painting, and I like the blue, shiny blue that I added to this painting. There's another flower that got happy with this one, making more and more of these because they are so easy and so fun. It's a little quick drawing that you can make. This is in September. This is one that I just used with the painting using one color, monochromatic painting. Added a background. This is another one that's trying to be a self-portrait. And then this one, I can't remember if this was a class or not. I don't think it was. But I added these girls at the bottom here, and I think they're kind of fun. They're tiny, so it's hard to put in lots of details, but I think it still kind of shows a nice picture in the overall scheme. This one's just me playing around with circles and dashes. It looks okay, I guess. Nothing exciting. This one is Make Your Mark by Tamara Laporte. This was from her life book class, where basically you're doing a collection of collages and gesso, and there's newspaper, there's book pages on the background, things like that. And there's painting, and I don't think I used any markers or pencils on this one, or if I did, I collaged over them. This is more watercolor. I think this might have been a class too, but I like the way it, even though none of these are really successful drawings, I think they're fine for a beginner. They're not exciting for an advanced artist, but I think they look okay. I like the fish in there. And there's another tree. Very much the same, just little dabs of color. This was a class by Angela Murray in Lifebook. And so this is making different kinds of shapes, circles and squares. We're using different media, mixed media. And then there's another one that kind of represents that, that kind of mirrors that. It's not made with the same techniques, and it's only using one, I think this is just watercolor. But they do go together, I guess. This one was me, again, using up little paint, the little blobby paint. These are just fun to make marks over and over again. It's really relaxing and enjoyable. I think my other one had a little rose on there too. My other art journal also had a rose, so I just made another one of those. Not very exciting. This was made in November. These are my ugly pages, just drawing with the marker. Some mandala made very badly. Another ugly page. Just another blob face. I guess he does have some kind of attitude, so there's that. That kind of redeems it. The arm, big blotchy arm. This one was fun to make. Just making the same marks over and over again till it forms a design. This goes with that other one that we saw earlier. These. Just making circles and repeating the pattern. This one was using a really fine point marker. It took a long time to make because of all those little lines, but I really like it. I think it's successful. This is Zoe. I had a picture. I used a photo of her to be able to draw this so she wouldn't be moving. I think it looks pretty good. This is August 24. This is another. This actually, I think I saw a photo on Facebook, and I tried to duplicate it because I just thought it was so pretty, but I wound up having some bleeding in her nose, so she looks really weird and awkward. But the rest of it, I think, looks okay. It's like really out of proportion because her legs are so long compared to the rest of her body, but paintings can do that. This is not my hand, as you can see. My hand is way smaller than that. But a bigger hand lets you have more places to make a design. So I made it bigger, and it gave me lots of different ways to, different little spots to be able to make like Zentangle type designs all over the page. This was in August. And this was a class, I don't remember which class it was. I don't remember, this might have been like a, either a YouTube or a Facebook type of a short class where you're just making scribbling flowers. And that was fun to make, just to be loose with how you draw. This one was a photo that I saw on Facebook with Alexander Musa, and he had a line drawing of an elephant, and so I was trying to copy that. It's one that I thought would be something that was made without lifting your pencil off the page, but it does look like he did lift the pencil off the page at one point or another, because I don't think you can make it like this. And so then I think I tried to make it again where you could do it without having to lift, but I'm not sure. But it basically looks like this. I didn't want to make a third try. And this one was a Facebook picture that I saw from Saul Steinberg. This is from Museum, their postings. And so this is something that he drew, and so I tried to see if I could draw using his techniques. This is more Saul Steinberg. My roads are out of proportion to what he had, but I wasn't trying to be perfect. I was just trying to draw like him. I didn't trace it. I just drew it. And then this one, Michelle Holmes, is a fabric artist. She makes beautiful designs with thread painting, and so this original picture was thread painted, and I just tried to draw it with pencil. And she makes lots of beautiful scenes like this that are intricately thread painted. It's just random triangles put together with different Zentangle designs on them. This is more of my bad paint. Yeah, this is more of my bad paint. It was really hard to spread these out. I had to use a lot of water to be able to make them go together. I don't know what I did with the lips there, but I decided that trying to make it better would make it worse. So I'll just leave it the way it is. This one was just another painting too, just another blob face, but not with watercolor. I think it turned out okay. It looks like a Girl Scout or something. Just some more flowers in an inkwell type of vase, just like the other ones. I do know how to make other vases, but apparently that's all I did in this one. This one, I don't think I was in a bad mood, but it just felt like I wanted to make like a messy thing, and so this is a messy drawing with lots of different textures. This is the bad paint for sure. But I was just trying to use up as much of the bad paint as possible. Even though it's not pretty, I really like it. It was successful for me. This one I think is a class also. The owl. This looks like something it's definitely something that was in one of Tamara's classes. I didn't write down the information on it though. And then there's just spiral things, and I wound up, this is a pencil that, I think this is like an Inktense pencil, so you could put water on it to make it get out the watercolor effect, but basically I just drew it with pencil and then spritz it with water to get the bleeding to happen like this. And this one, just a little spiral with watercolor. Okay. This is from some magazines. I get a magazine about dogs from my vet, about animals, I guess, from my vet. And so I like these drawings, and so I just collage them together onto my pages. It's nice ways to relax with your dog. And this section starts the lexicon. So I had a friend who who created a lexicon for herself. It's basically the letters A through Z, different words and collecting words that start with those letters. And this was just a cover page that I made for this section. These are all magazine clippings here with the watercolor background. So it starts with the letter A. So I just basically just went through different magazines and collected all of the letters that I liked, all of the words that I liked that started with the letter A. And I really like the fancy fonts, so I went ahead and added the letters themselves too. And I added 2 pages for each letter, because I had lots of pages left in this book. And this way I didn't have to limit myself to small words. I could, this one takes up so much space that if it just was by itself on a page, it may look like I'm really cheating and using that. But you can see that I even added colors that started with the letter A. These are from my Connecting Threads catalog. And here I've found some acorns that started with the letter A, but don't actually use the word letters in the itself. So, all inspiring. So mostly if there's something that had a lot of words that I could find, then I tried to use positive words. Oh, I'm missing an actually here. But sometimes once I got to certain letters, and I wound up getting desperate. This part of the art journal, filling up all these little words, was really interesting to me. It made it really easy for me to be able to throw out my magazines because I was able to cut them up. A lexicon like this felt to me like this very juvenile at the beginning, because it was something that I had tried to do with my daughter when she was young as a way to help her with her alphabet. So I've known about this idea for a long time, but recently I saw somebody else who had done this, somebody who was an adult, and so I decided to go ahead and do it for myself because it seemed like a lot of fun to me, and I really like fonts, and so I started making my own, and I had a really good time doing it. It helped me cut up a lot of magazines. It did make a little bit of a mess cutting up all the magazines. There's lots of little clips of paper where I trimmed off the words so that it would fit better in the book. And one time I caught myself cutting up a magazine as soon as it had come into the mailbox, and realized that I should wait and read the magazine first before I start cutting it out. So it is a lot of fun. It's very addictive, and I probably will do another lexicon or something similar to this because it was a lot of fun. At the beginning, I was just looking for positive words that would be nice to use for this, but eventually I started getting more desperate with the harder to find words, and eventually I decided that I could put pictures instead of words to represent the word. And then eventually even those kind of became harder to find, and so I decided I could just draw my own. The whole purpose of this art journal is to help me practice drawing, and so drawing is not cheating. Some people might have a rule to not duplicate any words, and I did not have that rule. So you will see several places in here where the same word is in here more than once. It's my art journal. I can make my own rules. And just like you, when you make your art journal, you can make up your own rules. When I was younger, I felt like I had to follow all the rules for whatever the rules were for the type of project that it is. But I can make up my own rules, and it won't be breaking the rules. If the rule doesn't prohibit duplicate words, then I can put duplicate words in here without breaking any rules. So that's one thing, especially in here. Don't be stuck by somebody else's rules. Make up your own rules for your art journal. So here's the B. You see the whole page spread. And other page with B. So I started with just filling up as many of the words as possible into the book. And then eventually when I had extra space, I tried to decide what to do. And I decided that pictures would work just fine with that. So then I started adding pictures as well. And I think it started with words that actually were there. And so once I did that, I'm like, well, this also works. I don't have to it doesn't have to have the word on it in order to be able to use the picture. There's the D. I'll show you C. So here's C. Here's D. And there's a 2-page spread for D. Here's E. And these are all just glued in together with gold glue. Here's F. And G. I tried not to use place names or names of companies unless it was a generic enough word that I could use. Here's H. Here's I. I was trying to avoid too many food things because I didn't want to make myself hungry while I was doing this. But sometimes some words you just have to add. And here I was having trouble finding J letters, and so I wound up drawing my own. Adding a big collage here to help with that. Journey. And also because I had plenty of room on this page, I went ahead and added the recipe for this because it does sound like it would be good. It's a kaleidoscope. This was actually a bigger picture, but I didn't want to overdo it on the pages, and there's also room for more K words if I can find them. And I was happy to use up a big amount of space for this. This is a kit, and that's a knit. Not the same word. Not that it doesn't have to be. Not that it can't be. For this one, I wasn't going to cut out just the knee part. I wanted the whole picture on there. Oh, kitchen. Some of these are kind of a stretch. Kitchen. It's called, I mean, it is in the kitchen. It doesn't look like a kitchen. I wouldn't think of kitchen when I saw that picture. There's the L. There's M. There's N. And more things I had to draw to be able to fill it out. Big newspaper. There's O. I did decide that Ohio was fine to use the place name since I live in Ohio. I like that I could use a quilt for in here. I got overload and overlord. I don't actually know what show this comes from. I don't watch it. And I did add words to the sides, as you probably saw already, and not everything is straight up and down. And I wasn't trying to make them all even, to make them in straight lines. As long as they're approximately fine, it's okay. It's okay with me with their, not exactly straight lines. Q was a hard word to find things for. We got quiet. And then I added just lots of different quilts, because we are allowed to use repeats, and having different quilts actually is nice because it gives me a place to store ideas. Here's the R. This was the last one that I did. Because I had some extra space here, I decided to choose an R word, and once I thought about ransom, I thought that was great to just be able to just make that with letters. Instead of trying to find a word that started with the letter R, I could just make my own. So that was the last one that I thought of, and I liked that. Idea, this is the S's. This one says sunshine on it. the S's. This so you can see the U. Again, I'm allowed to use proper names if it's mine. Get lots of junk mail with my name on it. Might as well take advantage of using that. There's W. There's a lot of W words. There were some words where I had lots of extra words. There were lots of letters that I had extra words for. I kept finding new words to add, and then there's other words, other letters that I had a really hard time finding words for. Other letters that I had trouble finding words for. But that was part of the fun, right? There's Y. Oh, did I show you X? Or W X? Did not show you X. Okay, so here's X. As you can see, I had a hard time finding any words that started with X, so I had to draw all of them myself. Some of them more successful than others. Had to make up things. There's a Xerox, I don't even know how to pronounce it, Xerox squirrel. Zenus, I don't know those. A lot of these are like names of particular situations, like more specific things, like X-ray fish and not just fish. But X is a hard word to find words for. X is a hard letter to find X is a hard letter to find words for. There we go. I can speak. Okay. There's Y. And Z was hard, but not as hard, I guess. So, had a big 0 on the page because I figured I wouldn't be able to find very much anyway. And then the second page, I didn't think I'd be able to find anything. But I decided the dog was having a nap, so we'll just make it a Z page. Okay, and then so that ends the lexicon, but there's a few more pages left, so let's go over those. Let me show you, this is the beginning, so we're almost done with the book. Okay, so this is just more watercolor painting. A lot of people are talking about making the same thing over and over again, just to have reiterations and to make just a little bit different from each other. So that's what I did here, was just adding the same character, same colors, painting them over and over again, and you can see that each of them actually turn out to be different from each other over time, just doing them again and again. And this one was a class by Emma Poteet in the Art is Magic class. And again, I didn't follow all of her examples. I didn't actually make everything exactly the way that they did. So basically I just looked at their picture and tried to redraw it. So I'm sure that I made mistakes while I was doing it. So again, look at the artist and don't think my work is representative of the kind of work that they do. Okay, so this one is something that I wanted to show you. I have a 5-year diary where you basically just have a few lines to be able to write what's happening in your day. But sometimes there's like trending things that happen. And so I wanted to write about, in my other journal, I actually write down more trendy things. And this one just happens to be the trend that was happening at the time that I was making this. So I don't mean to be bad news. This actually isn't really bad news. I had read an article that said that it would be normal for everything to fall apart at the same time, mostly because when you move into a house for the first time, you're buying a lot of new things, and those things are going to break down in a certain cycle, and so that makes sense then that they would all break down at the same time. And so this is something that I've always anticipated, and I do try to put money in escrow for situations like this. So this is not really bad news. I was just trying to show you that you could write, like what I would do is like make like a newsletter. I have a friend who writes Christmas newsletters, and that's how she does it. Is she uses word processing system. She uses Word to do this, and so she'll have a clip art, and then she'll have some words that explain that situation of things that happen throughout the year. And so this is something that's happening in this whatever time period that you decide to use. But it's, for me, it's a nice way for me to get into drawing things, and it kind of documents what's happening in my life at particular times. It's funny because the other ones that I've used are more positive than this one, so I wasn't trying to make it thing negative. And because there were so many negative things in here, I just added some extra designs in the bottom to make sure nothing else bad happens during this time period. And this one's just another shape that I turned into Zentangles, and this one kind of looked like a face to me, so I turned that into a face. I have a postcard of me walking the dog, and this is not my dog. This doesn't look like either one of my dogs, but it is something that was just a fun thing to draw. It's funny that my index card drawing has me looking exactly like this, and I hope I don't look like that in real life. And then this is just drawing. I think I was on the phone or something, and so I was just mindlessly drawing things while I was talking. And this one too, I was just mindlessly drawing while I was talking. And this is the same lid that I was using before, but this time is using watercolor instead of acrylic paint. This is just another drawing, a couple of drawings. I think I saw these. Both of these is a copy of something that I saw. And this is more of the elephant that we saw from Saul Steinberg. But I just made a collage out of that. Okay, and then this is the last page in the book. Just a collage of different things. Just more of the do more things. Oh, isn't there more? This page here, you see how it says more, much more, make more, making more. And so this is kind of more of that, to do more adventurous things, especially outdoors. And then this is the back cover. I really like the back cover. Just again, collages of different things that I thought would be nice to do. More of them, do more. Get a little uncomfortable. Push yourself out of your comfort zone to stretch, learn, and grow. Joyous yelps to urgent alarms. And so all of this is more of that. And then the back cover has more of the same. Do awesome things 366 days a year. Made for more. New path. Worry less and smile more. It's easy to get stuck in the same rut over and over again, but you have to find a way to keep reaching, pushing outside the box. And that is the end. That was the last page. That was the last cover. And we're back to the front cover. Hope that you enjoyed seeing my art journal and that it inspires you to do more of that. This is the last art journal that I completed. I have a video that takes you through every page of this art journal, and you can compare and contrast this first one to the second one to see what you think about that one. This one is a smaller book than that one is. And I kind of try to figure out which one is better. Do I want to be bigger or smaller? I haven't really, because I'm so new at this, I haven't really chosen a side. I know that the big 8x10 seemed a little daunting, but maybe now that I started with this one was fine with me. So I could potentially go back to 8x10s. But what I did was I chose a book that's similar size to this. It's not exactly, it's a little smaller. This one is not by Canson. This was a cheap one that I got from Amazon. But it's much smaller in page-wise than the original size. So the drawing part of this one is the same as the whole book of this one. But you can see that I've already started it, and so when this is finished, I will show you a look of that one. I'll put a link here and in the description box if you want to see this art journal. I didn't talk while I was showing you this. I didn't talk during this video. It's all music. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all of your support and hope to see you again in the next video.